bighorn sheep, one of the most magnificent big game animals of the North American continent. Here, high among the craggy ledges and rolling slopes of the Rockies, the bighorn is at home. Extremely sure of foot and possessed with telescopic sight, 8 times as powerful as our eyesight, the bighorn is one of the most difficult animals to approach. Right now, this female is showing some males just how elusive a bighorn can be. Back and forth, and up and down. Well, these full-curled fellows are going to end up just getting some exercise this day. Mating season is over, and the female is making it perfectly clear that she's not entertaining gentlemen suitors. These bighorns don't know it yet, but far below their lofty domain, a man, world famous as an archer, is planning to make friends with them. Not only does he intend to approach them, but he hopes to be accepted by them and feed them by hand. To make his goal even more difficult, he plans to photograph his attempt. It hasn't been a spur-of-the-moment decision for him. Lugging 80 pounds of camera equipment with him, he has already spent 7 years in this high, rocky terrain, photographing the bighorns and learning their habits. Now he feels he knows them well enough to move even closer to these magnificent but wary animals and extend the hand of friendship. How will these animals react? It would be so easy for them to simply flee from this energetic human intruder. Or will their animal sense tell them this man comes in friendship, armed only with a camera? This then is one man's photographic story of the Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep, high in their home, the Untamed lands.
The untamed lands are for you and me, but a man's gotta be a real man to see. These lands are far beyond the mountains high. There's peace and beauty where the mountains reach the sky. A bull and a bugle's his challenge to me, and a coyote tells the moon he's free. But I wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free. Wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free. You're looking for a friend you've never met before, and you'll find him high at the mountain's door. Dreams come true in this great land, and in my heart I'll always take a stand. In the place I call the Untamed land, the place I call the Untamed land, the place I call the Untamed land, the place I call the Untamed land.
The untamed lands where the bighorn sheep live are ones of hardship. Not for the sheep, of course, but for anyone who comes visiting. At these high altitudes, temperatures often plunge to 30 or 40 degrees below zero. When the heavy winter snows come to the high country, the bighorns move further down the slopes to browse for food. Here at these lower elevations, the first serious winter snow is falling. This massive ram has certainly seen many winters come and go. Look at the curl of the horns on this old fellow. The older the ram, the bigger his horns. The band is moving off, restlessly in search of food, making its way down from the snow-mantled mountaintops. Larry Jones, a world-renowned hunter and guide who has now turned his talents to photographing the bighorns. With backpack and snowshoes, he has come to the high country to locate the band and make initial contact. Moose way over there. Seems like they're pretty comfortable now, even with another hard winter coming on. And there's elk, too. There's lots of animals to see in these untamed lands. And here's a little moose calf staying close by mother. Now is not the time of year to wander off in youthful exploration. Meanwhile, Larry continues to make his way up the mountain. It sure is tough going in the snow, although it's not deep enough yet for snowshoes. Yep, a little bit of snow quenches the thirst. Even in cold weather, Larry works up a thirst as he climbs upward to find the sheep. That sure is a long way up, but what a beautiful sight. It will all be worth it if Larry finds the band of bighorns. Just a bit further now. Larry at the end of a long day of climbing. Just enough time to make camp, set up the tent, and build a fire. Fortunately, there's enough brush around to build a fire. The warmth will sure feel good tonight. Tomorrow will be another long day of searching for the sheep. But for now, it's pleasant enough just watching the fire and listening to the sounds of this high country night. How's that for a full moon? Now all that's needed to make it complete? Yep, there it is. Listen. Well, Larry is not alone tonight. Wonder what song this coyote is howling to the moon. Perhaps he's just telling his brothers there's a new presence in the untamed lands tonight, and a very tired one at that. As the fire continues to burn, Larry is already asleep, gathering his strength for tomorrow. Trail again, and Larry feels this may be the day he gets close to the elusive bighorns. With dry clothing and a dehydrated breakfast, Larry is raring to go. Here's a sign: sheep tracks. Larry's definitely getting closer now. Wonder if the bighorns will flee at the first sight of him. Sheep bedding. Here's where they rested last night. They can't be too far away yet. They're all right on the hillside. No doubt they see Larry too. But it's still a way to go. Those sheep sure don't make it easy for a guy. Tarnation does he want? These sheep seem to be saying. For Larry, it's time to act naturally. He knows from past experience that sheep will become frightened and flee if he tries to sneak up on them, so the best thing to do is to stand upright and walk toward them. So now it's time to say howdy to the bighorns. Show them he comes in friendship. growth rings on the horns tell how old he is. The rams use their horns during mating season. Two rams will back off about 30 feet and charge each other, coming together with a resounding crash. You'd think they'd knock each other daffy, but their extra thick skulls protect them. Long ago, it was believed that the mountain sheep used their horns to escape hunters by jumping off cliffs and landing on their horns. It seems this band is only interested in finding food today and not paying much attention to Larry. Meanwhile, Larry is still at it, still moving up and closer to the big horns. When Larry begins to hope he may really get close to the sheep, they bolt. Well, that was to be expected. Any friendship worth its salt takes time to develop. It will take many tries before the sheep will accept Larry in their domain, if at all. For Larry, this means coming back next spring, now that he knows where they are. For now, it's time to get down the mountain because the winter snows spell danger. A little further down now, elk, beginning to collect in winter herds and browsing. Elk are very adaptable animals. Where once they thrived on the grasses of the plains, they have now retreated to the upcountry and winter on mountain maple, serviceberry, and other woody plants. With food plentiful, this leaves time for sparring, blocking horns if you have them. Here's a bull who has already shed his antlers. It's that time of year again. The males are in various stages of losing their antlers. Just a little sparring going on here, nothing serious. These young males are working on their techniques for next year's mating season, when serious fights will determine which bull gets the harem. Well, it's a lot of fun to practice, as long as this big fellow doesn't decide to join in. Maybe he's just scouting the competition for next year. These magnificent animals, it's hard to believe they first appeared on the earth as a small cat-sized creature 45 million years ago. Elk are members of the deer family, and next to the moose, the largest, mature bulls will weigh between 500 and 1,000 pounds. Young elk will continue to grow, with their growth marked by the shape and size of their antlers. Year, their antlers will have 6 points, considered normal for mature bulls. A bull with 6 points is called a royal stag. One with 7 points on each antler is called an imperial. Wide open spaces as far as the eye can see, and a coyote far off in the distance traveling to some secret destination only he knows. It sure would be nice to spend some more time here just watching the animals, but Larry knows it's time to be getting off the mountain. Larry, an experienced outdoorsman, brought only 1 week's supply of food with him this time because he didn't want to be tempted into staying up here any longer, betting against the weather. In the high country during winter, that's one sure way to lose a bet. One last look until spring when Larry will return. The snow is leaving the mountains now. Springtime is coming, and for Larry this means it'll soon be time to return to the mountains again. Signs of spring are everywhere. The sea can trumpets. It's time to get his gear in shape and order his supplies. One item Larry will be sure to take along this time is salt. Those bighorns sure do like their salt, and Larry hopes the salt will make the sheep friendlier. Yes, it's going to be an exciting year for Larry. Hopefully the culmination of 7 years of effort. The next time Larry stares at a fire, he'll be camping in the high country. But first, there's plenty to do at home. Since he will be gone from the ranch for quite a while, Larry has to do his spring chores early. The first order of business is to put his cattle fences in shape. Larry lives and ranches in a beautiful valley in northern Utah. Sure is beautiful country here. Here's Larry now, ready for some exercise. This looks like a good place to get some fence posts. Here and a few chops there. This one will be just right. On the chores when the mountains beckon. It's always been this way for him since he was a young man. For Larry, the mountains are the untamed lands where it's possible to be among wild animals in their natural environment. Oh well, enough daydreaming now for Larry. Time to get back to the ranch and do the chores. Seems like Larry isn't the only one doing spring chores. This badger looks like he's doing a little spring house cleaning. So Larry can't be too far behind. Here he comes now. with us and see what I'm doing for you. Have spent a lot of time together packing into the high country of the Rockies. Seems like Liberty is looking for a handout in the back of Larry's truck. Now Larry is off on a social visit to one of his most unusual friends. A yearling black bear that Larry found during one of his expeditions to the backcountry. Little Scratch had been orphaned as a cub, and Larry has been raising him ever since. Little Scratch sure loves his chocolate treats. And the swim. No wonder Scratch likes to see Larry. There's nothing better than a snack and a cool dip in the water. Sometimes, in fact, it's hard to convince Scratch it's time to leave. But he knows that a visit from Larry means a chance to do some exploring and some heart-to-heart talking. As day ends, no doubt Larry is saying farewell to his little buddy for a while.
The untamed lands are for you and me, but a man's gotta be a real man to see. These lands are far beyond the mountains high. There's peace and beauty where the mountains reach the sky. A bull never bugles his challenge to me, and a coyote tells the moon he's free. Oh, I wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free. Wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free.
Wilderness areas on the North American continent are becoming smaller all the time. Likewise, the abundance of big game animals is dwindling, and finding a world record animal today is almost an impossibility. One of the foremost archers of our time, Larry Jones, has taken many world record animals with bow and arrow. In the early 1960s, Larry shot the world record Rocky Mountain bighorn sheep. He had success pursuing other game as well. But there is more to life than death, and in recent years, Larry has focused his attention on living animals. One question occurring to him was whether it would be possible to make friends with a large and fully mature wild animal. In the past, other people have established good relationships with baby animals and with small animals, but could it be done with a mature big game animal? Say, for instance, a world record bighorn sheep. That's what Larry set out to do. He figured it would be a long job. He didn't want to go hungry, but he did want to go light. The answer? Dehydrated food and beef jerky. That jug, by the way, isn't full of moonshine. It's full of salt. Sheep take to salt like some folks take to moonshine. So why not keep it in a jug? Larry builds a cairn over it to show its location. Whenever he's hungry, he can come here for food.
looking for a friend you've never met before.
For the next few weeks, this 8-ounce tent and 40-ounce sleeping bag will protect him from the elements.
Dreams come true in this great land. In my heart I'll always take
Now that camp's finished, let's sit down, relax, and have a piece of beef jerky. Take in the beautiful scenery around us.
The place I call the Untamed Land. The place I call the Untamed Land.
Normally, there's plenty to see, like an osprey nest and its owner. The osprey is one of the birds on the endangered list, facing extinction. Let's hope the 2 young in the nest will survive. Time to get on to where Larry has previously spotted mountain sheep. Time to find them and try to get to know them. To find a sheep, you have to climb like a goat. Safely away from the average tourist, even the average hunter, live the bighorn sheep. It's hard to find a place that's more peaceful and beautiful than sheep country. Larry builds a blind so he can see without being seen. Tracks show that some animals have been in the area recently. The best place to look for the bighorn sheep is where the rocky ledges meet the grassy slopes. What's that? Lambs gambling on the mountainside. Gambling is legal if you are a lamb, you know. These are not veteran gamblers. They're only about 3 weeks old, so mother is never very far away. When you're a thirsty lamb, you scratch up a drink. You take every opportunity to relax and chew your cud. Seems like he's still thirsty, though. That's the hard way to do it, but it saves a 1.5 mile walk to the stream down below. Looks like this young fellow is relaxed and very much contented, doesn't he? Whenever they rest, they're never very far away from the safety of the ledges above or the thick trees below, where they can make a hasty retreat. He's got a tough life, hasn't he? Real tough. Nothing to worry about but the next dinner bell. Easy now, George. Hey, Ma, I wasn't finished. that is utterly good. When Larry wants to sleep or find fresh food, he has to leave the high country and get back down below the timberline. The food he brought is all dehydrated, so he supplements his diet by eating roots and berries provided by Mother Nature. At this time of year, raspberries are found everywhere. Hawthorn berries are also edible. Yes, even the burdock is edible. Just be careful not to sit on the leftovers. If you have to depend on leaves, the leaves of a young plant are, of course, the most tasty. Elderberries can help you sustain life in the wilderness, but in doing so, they always bring a pretty pucker to your face. So do chokecherries, but don't chew on the withered branches in the fall. They're poisonous. Send your true love 1 dozen roses and a pot to cook them in. But don't forget to tell her about the thorns. Now here's a plant. Do you know what it is? If you're not sure of the plant, don't eat the berries. It could cause serious consequences. Have some fresh fruit before the new day's climb, especially sweet, juicy raspberries. And they give you quick energy for the journey ahead. Looks a long way from here, and if we're going to get up there, we better get started. You don't just walk out your back door and find bighorn rams. You really have to work for them. Going up this mountain 4 or 5 times a week really keeps a man in good shape. It takes most of the morning to climb above the timberline, but the work has its rewards when Larry comes across the first sheep beds he has discovered on this trip. They have not been used much lately, once or twice in the past couple of weeks, but at least the sheep have slept here recently. Remember that jug of salt? It's time to uncork that old jug and make a couple of salt licks. One above the trail, and one below it. Visible, so the sheep can begin to get used to your presence. It's a nice day, 75 degrees, pleasant, and there's time to think. Time to remember. Time to remember days that were not so pleasant. Days in Mexico, not at 75 degrees, but at 120 in the desert sun, where the dry, arid desert looks like a cool lake. But alas, grass, it's only a mirage. Even where the temperatures are unbearable, you find sheep. The desert bighorn. Hey you with the hat, getting a little thirsty? This is where you learn how many swallows there are in a gallon, and just exactly how long that gap is going to last before you get to the next water hole. There are 80 swallows to the gallon, and taking one swallow every 10 minutes, a gallon canteen will last all day long. There is little vegetation in the desert during the summer months, like the scraggly bush here. Of what plants there are, most die young. The few plants which survive, like the cactus, store their own water. There's water to be found if you know where to look, and can endure until you get there. Up this canyon you go. 18 miles of walking so far today. And finally, a water hole, which was created by last winter's rains. No skeletons around here, so the water must be safe to drink. Just the same, Larry, you ought to drop a few of those purification tablets in your canteen before you drink that water. Thousands of yellow jackets in the area, drawn by the water, but Larry never once got stung. But I'll bet when he leaves, he makes a beeline out of there. Going to fry an egg? Where's your fire? When the temperature reaches 130 degrees, you don't need a fire. Set your pan on the ground for about 10 minutes, then crack the egg. And in a couple of minutes you have, well, what would you call that? Over easy? Well, all we need now is a side of ham and hash brown. So much for breakfast. Now let's find some sheep. There's one right on the ridge. See him? Let's try to get a better look. Sneak around the rock. Climb above the ledge. We should come out right on top of it. Where is he? He should have been down there by that big rock. Oh, there he is, down at the bottom where you just came from. He must be doing a study of the habits of people. He certainly doesn't see many of them out here. Hey, Larry, looks like that sheep outfoxed you. Hey, throwing rocks at him won't get you even. It'll just scare him away. If you keep your eyes open, there's plenty to see in the desert, such as a coyote, who incidentally doesn't seem much afraid of you. The coyote, like any other animal in the desert, won't bother you if you don't bother him. Even when they're hungry, they won't bother a human. They would much rather have a roast fillet of Roadrunner. Hey, Wile E. Coyote, you're moving kind of slow there. Fallen off any cliffs lately? outsmart a sheep. 2 ewes and a lamb have been appearing on a certain ridge for several mornings. So put out the salt and see what happens. There they are, right on schedule. Is about 3 months old. The ewes are probably 4 or 5 years of age. This little fellow is lucky to be alive. 80% of all desert sheep born die before they're 2 months old. By the way, many people mistake these female sheep for goats. Their appearance is deceiving, and they do look a bit like goats with their short horns, but these are female sheep. The desert bighorn is the rarest of 4 species of wild sheep on the North American continent. There are fewer of them than of any of the other 3 species. The search goes on, and at last you find a big ram. After 3 weeks of hard looking, you finally find what you've been looking for. Man, what an animal. A few days later, we were lucky enough to find him laying by a water hole. If you dare get close enough, you can see the annual rings on his horns. It looks like he's 6, maybe 7 years old. And then, the finest sheep you have ever seen. Wow! Look at that ram. Am I dreaming? Look at that curl. And then, like a phantom, he disappears. You know, he must have been a dream. South of Mexico's desert lies the Central American jungle. As far as Larry Jones is concerned, it is the jungle that's truly the last frontier. A superbly untamed land. The river is its only through highway. This is one of the last areas in the world where you can still see wild monkeys in the trees. Mother and son off to town for the weekend shopping. Mother goes first. Hey, Ma, give me a hand. Well, give me a tail then. Oh, heck, Ma, I'd rather stay home and watch TV anyway. There's an unusual sight, bird nests with no birds. Not a sign of the birds that built those. If you cruise down any jungle river long enough, you're bound to see a village eventually. The inhabitants have had some contact with the outside world, and they've picked up a taste for bright clothing. She's still using cloth that was given to her by Larry Jones some years earlier. They also insist on cleanliness. With no soap or detergent, that means more work, pounding the dirt out, and no pollution, by the way. Here's the housewife doing her laundry in the Central American Maytag. There are plenty of fish in these rivers. Larry would rather have fish and tortillas than such a delicacy as iguana tail, so he helped shuck a little corn. This is a baby. Babies are the young of the human species. They come in assorted colors with a limited assortment of shapes and hardly any assortment in size. They're all small. To a boy from the farm, this picture is like a litter from home. Polly wants a cracker and some cheese dip, I'll bet. There are more monkeys in this area, and there are javelina, wild pigs. The speedy ocelot is apparently trying to choose one of them for supper. Perhaps the selection will be the one that's almost an albino. In higher jungle country elsewhere in Central America, Larry visits a village of the Lacandone people. Only the men are allowed to enter this god house where they hold religious services and do a lot of their work. Women's liberation has not worked its way this far to the woods, so the women must conduct their business elsewhere. Beside the god house, a man named Chan Kim works on a new batch of arrows. In spite of severe arthritis, he has to do his own work. Chan Kim's daughter still stone grinds the corn in the tradition of her ancestors. The Lacandones have had little contact with the outside world, but they have acquired a few such items as cooking pots. They had not built supermarkets, though, so it took a little extra muscle and time to get flour or other necessities of life. Larry, the old archer, swaps two of his old arrows for some newly made ones. The family looks on, posing, it would seem, for a family portrait. There's a little haggling. Are 10 arrows for two too many? And they consummate the bargain. From another Lacandone named Mateo, Larry obtains flint heads for those arrows. When Mateo was a child, he was badly burned in a fire and sustained a permanent disfigurement. In the jungle, you learn to live with your injuries. There is no readily available modern medical help. Nearby. garden hop. On its bank, ready transportation. It can take one man up to a month to build a dugout canoe. These are 20 to 25 feet long, cut from solid mahogany. Although the lake is small, only about 3/4 of a mile across, a boat is a real necessity here. You hunt and fish from the boat. You also use it for transportation. To cross the lake in a boat takes less than 5 minutes. Using the trail around the lake takes almost 25 minutes. The reeds that grow all around the edge of this lake are used to manufacture those arrows that Chan Kim was making. There are alligators in these waters, and that's one of the reasons Larry has come out here. Watching these reptiles, he observed something that he's never heard about from any other source. We want you to see it. Watch the alligator's eye. The alligator seems to have not only one eyelid, but a membrane underneath that appears to be transparent. Watch again. It may be that the inner membrane closes to protect the eye while the alligator is swimming underwater. Well, on to other things. See you later, alligator. Here are a couple of baby jaguars. When they grow up, they will become kings of the jungle. In the forested areas from northern Mexico through Central America, the jaguar rules. It's rare to see one in an open field. This one has just finished feasting on his latest kill and is returning home. If you're going to run into a jaguar, this is the best time. Although they are beautiful animals, they can be dangerous if hungry. An untamed animal in an untamed land. I wonder for how long. Up where Larry is now, spending day after day trying to coax those bighorn sheep to get acquainted, he sees another kind of cat, the bobcat. This baby bobcat is about 1 month old. He might have been born in one of those log stumps down there. Spectator watching that cat, a fox pup. The baby bobcat is in no danger, though. Even a little cat like this will not be attacked by a baby fox. Some youngsters will eat anything. There's not much nourishment in a log, unless you're a termite or a beaver. Traveling up a riverbed in Idaho looking for sheep, he found a cottontail rabbit. This week's candidate for Bunny of the Year. Everybody say "aw" again. 1, 2, 3. Aw. Further into the Idaho high country. Hey, what's that? It was news to Larry that raccoons lived in Idaho, and he was doubly surprised to see one in the daytime, because they usually feed at night. Can't you hear his mother now? What are you doing up at this time of day? You know, if there is a graceful and safe way of trying to pick up a baby raccoon without being bitten, I don't think Larry has found out about it yet. Raccoons prefer to wash their own food before they eat, if they get a chance, that is. And ouch! Take it easy, fella. Judging by the strength of this fellow's teeth, they must brush their teeth after every meal and see their dentist twice a year. They also have strong toes and feet. They use their front feet like people use their hands. And, as you can imagine, they are excellent climbers. There's no reason to keep this fellow from his warm bed any longer. So long, pal, and get a good day's sleep, and live it up again tonight. We didn't find the bighorn sheep we were looking for in Idaho, so let's go back to Canada. A hungry man who finds himself in the remote mountains of Canada finds another way to supplement his diet. Not many fishermen get back this far. It's too hard to carry the beer all that way. The best fishing might be in a little stream where the fish are heading up for the spawning grounds. Pretty good for a starter. There's a real beauty, right in the center of the picture. A trout dinner in the cooler. If you'll just take that fly. Good-sized fish for a small creek. It makes a pleasant change from dehydrated food. Not bad for 15 minutes of fishing. Weeks go by, and Larry is still trying to find those sheep. But the sheep are still up in the high country. might make a pretty good friend while you're waiting for the sheep to come around. But how does one introduce himself to a baby bobcat? Just by walking up and saying, "Hi Bob, I'm Larry." No, what you do is you build a trap for him. In all the time Larry spent in the high country near the bobcat, he never did see the cat's mother. She was probably either out hunting all day or hunting at night and sleeping all day. Surely she wasn't watching this, or Mama would have told the youngster to watch out for strange men. Save some of that fish line, Larry. You might want to go fishing again. You've built yourself a better mousetrap. Add a little of Grandma's beef jerky for bait, and see if anything will beat a path to your doorstep. The finishing touches now to conceal the trap. Larry spent hours at a time, day after day, in his nearby blind, holding one end of the fishing line in his hand before the cat at last decided to sample that beef jerky. Get the caboose in. Gotcha. Now what? So much for side trips. Let's keep our eyes open for those sheep. But there are always interesting things for an observant man in the mountains to see. Has a full belly, and it was a warm day, so he stretched out on the icebox for a siesta. This little cub must feel that the only place to take a good look at the world is from on top of it. Nature is really something to see. The bigger sheep stay as high as food can be found, to stay safe and to stay cool. They stay out of man's way, and they have always assumed that man would stay out of their way. What's going to happen to this man who persists in invading their domain? Sometimes near timberline, is found an occasional small lake. All of the animals in the area water at them from time to time, like this small band of goats. In this bunch, there are several adults and one small one. They might both live on the same mountain, but normally not on the same ridge. They don't even bus the kids to the same school. High above the timberline, the Dal sheep is found. Traveling up a glacier river in some instances is the fastest way to get above timberline to find them. Fortunately, the timberline there is only 2,500 feet above sea level. The Dal sheep, like the goats, is one of the few all-white animals in existence. To catch a big ram like this in his bed is a dream of all sheep hunters, but it very seldom happens. The granddaddy of them all, proud head and huge rack alert, he grazes in a shady Alaskan hollow. But a real old monarch like this doll ram, far back from all civilization, seems to bring a simple challenge to all who would accept it. Enjoy and help conserve the wilderness areas and a few untamed lands that we still have left today. It's easier to make friends with Canadian bobcats than Alaskan sheep. For one thing, they're easier to catch. Has to convince the critter that a man is cat's best friend. Larry Jones becomes one of those select people who know a bobcat well enough to really be entitled to call him by his nickname, Bob. The rest of us ought to call them Robert cats until we've at least been formally introduced. You know, I'm beginning to think that Larry would rather spend his time down here with his bobcat than climbing that mountain day after day. But there are many days when you return from the mountain that you can spend some time with your little friend. This one is small now, but in a happy year, he'll be able to kill deer 10 times his own weight. Getting acquainted with a mountain sheep takes a little more time. Now, Larry has taken to whistling when he puts out the salt, hoping to get the big rams to associate his whistle with the fact that he's distributing treats for the whole gang. He still wants them to know that he's in the area and that he means them no harm. Sometimes he spends all day on the sheep grounds. Sometimes he spends only the mornings and uses the other time to check up on other animals. The mule deer, for example, one of the wild creatures that continue to live their lives nearby. These two chaps are only sparring. The serious encounters will come later during the mating season. 10-round bouts with some sweet little deer as the prize. The winner gets the lady. All the loser gets is a headache. Like antenna, this deer listens for sounds of trouble. And when a twig breaks, that's the end. Days go by. Larry not only whistles now, he bangs on a rock with his knife to call the attention of the sheep to the goodies he provides. Snows of fall are mantling the high country, and the elk are beginning to gather into herds. Here, too, the young males are in training. That's it. Stay behind that tree while you feel him out. Easy does it. That's the way I like to fight, you on one side of the tree, me on the other. Just so that big guy across the river doesn't try to mix in. The one on the left is the younger of the two. The one on the right is a 3-year-old bully. Bull-E? The young Spike is at a disadvantage with his shorter horns, but he stays right in there. Sparring matches like this are quite frequent, especially with the young males like these. You're getting too rough. I'm going to take my toys and go home. Suddenly one morning, there is serious snow. Larry is concentrating most of his time on the sheep now. When he arrived, the hillside was bare. Finally, when he whistles, watch what happens. You will have to see it to believe it. accepted as part of the scenery. There are about 40 in this group, all rams. More than half are full curl or better. Moves ever closer to the animals. One young half-curl will come up to him. But Larry wants to make friends with the patriarchs of the tribe, too. Larry extends the hand of friendship. The fact that the hand of friendship contains food pellets doesn't hurt his chances. Come on, fellow. Come on. You shouldn't be afraid. Don't you want some more goodies? But so far, there is no complete trust. It will still take more time. The air gets colder, the snow deeper and more frequent. Now seem to occupy almost every pocket on the mountainside, and on the valley floor the big bulls have gathered their harem. This majestic bull is feeding, but even while feeding he's alert. The elk hears the bugling of another elk, but decides it poses no threat to him, and he goes back to eating. Day in, day out, he patrols his territory and keeps his cows in line. They stay where they belong, and they do as they're told. A woman elk's place is in what her old man decides is home. There's no women's lib around here. Every once in a while, he sounds a challenge. Warning everyone away from his territory, challenging all who enter. This majestic animal is the ruler of his domain. Again, he sounds the challenge. This time, no answer. This will be one morning he won't have to fight to keep his harem. It's late fall now, and it looks like patience has had its reward.
news. You've made quite a change. From being the great white hunter, taking the world's record mountain ram, you've become friends with even larger sheep. Wouldn't you like to take back a trophy from one of these big animals, though? But you're not going to take one of those animals now after you've made friends with them, are you? You're kidding. More sporting about it. If you're going to take one, you might as well give them a fighting chance. The finished product. It wouldn't be much good against a grizzly bear, but it should do the trick with mountain sheep. Shoot a mountain sheep with a bow and arrow, you have to get close to them, real close. Is Larry close enough for the kill? But now he must hit the sheep in a vital spot. That's a vital spot, to the sheep anyway. Having shot your sheep, the next step is to measure his horns. Sheep, stand still. Don't you know you're a trophy now? One of you must go at least 185 points, but I'll have to measure you to prove it. Come on, fella, hold still. This trophy just doesn't want anyone taking its measurements. Reminds me of some girls I know. You can't even bribe this guy. Let me measure somebody's horns. You're all world's records, you know. Which one of you did I hit, anyway? No longer do the sheep come this low only for salt. There's too much snow up higher, so they stay here all the time to feed. Larry brings the seasoning. The fellow on his knees looks like he's saying grace. Anyone for a goodie? The right rear leg has been broken and has mended badly. Was it done by a bullet? Could have been. There are knots on both the inside and the outside of the leg at the old break. This old fellow hobbles, but he still gets where he wants to go. Those two look for all the world like a couple of old politicians. You scratch my nose and I'll chew your horn. This fellow is named Curly. He's the biggest ram on the mountain. His horns go 5 inches past full curl. still won't let Larry measure. Hold still. You'd think he was being measured for a trophy room wall. These are mountain sheep, but unlike domestic sheep, they don't have wool. You can't make a sweater from one of these critters. Mountain sheep have hair, much like a deer's.
The untamed lands are for you and me, but a man's gotta be a real man to see. These lands are far beyond the mountains.
Winter's coming on and Larry has to leave. He'll return from time to time to see them, but this long summer of getting acquainted is over. Larry has been coming here on and off for years. This summer has marked the achievement of a dream. But now, it's time to say goodbye.
Oh, I wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free. Wonder how long it's gonna be before these lands are not so free. You're looking for a friend you've never met before, and you find him high at the mountain's door. Dreams come true in this great land, and in my heart I'll always take a stand. In the place I call the untamed land, the place I call the untamed land. The place I call the untamed land. Place I call the untamed land.